Why do people choose direct payments? Peter and Carol chose to apply for direct payments to meet Peter's needs because the home care services they received were unsatisfactory.
It was a very rushed job, and it would often be, "Sorry Pete, no time to shower today."
Yeah.
It was inadequate.
Yes, we were more or less told what their jobs were, or what they were allowed to do. It was a bit scratchy, really.
Before we had the direct payments help, Pete hadn't been able to go out for a walk for a couple of years. He used to spend most of the day sitting in his chair, so his muscles were suffering a bit.
Now I can ask one of the PAs to take me somewhere, can walk anywhere within walking distance.
I'd always thought, okay, we could get a bit of help, bit of home care, bit of help with helping Pete with jobs he couldn't do, but I'd never thought we could get help in terms of helping him to live a fuller life.
Rosie chose to employ her own personal assistant with direct payments because she wanted more control over the support she received.
I'm in control now, and I have choices. Whereas before I didn't have choices, I just had to put up when they come and when they, the times they wanted to come. And they get changed. Your support worker from an organisation gets changed, so then you got no routine. But with your own PA, through direct payments, you got routine. Because you know who's going to be your PA.
What sorts of things do you use your PA to do?
Go to Hydro, and go shopping and pay the bills, and go out and about.
How much difference does it make to your life?
A lot easier, because I can't catch buses.
Would you recommend direct payments to other disabled people?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a good thing.
Having direct payments, what does it give you in your life?
A chance to be the boss.
Before receiving direct payments, Marchant relied on volunteer support workers and more recently on a support worker employed by social services. Now, with direct payments, Marchant and his mum organise and employ the personal assistance he needs.
The volunteers have been wonderful, absolutely superb. But if you've been up all night with a little boy, then you need help at 8 o'clock in the morning. And volunteers, by their nature, they're volunteers, and if they're students, they're not so ready to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so, as wonderful as they are, and they truly were super with my son, and also they go away for long holidays, so that didn't work. So I knew that wasn't a long-term possibility. I knew we had to do something else.
Marchant and his family use direct payments to fund part-time personal assistance.
Marchant wants to be independent. I mean, he's 9 now, and what 9-year-old wants their mum to go to their first sleepover? But that had to happen. He is dependent in terms of helping someone to feed him and in terms of communication, but he'd rather be going out with, going with some hip young lad or, some trendy young girl, well, not his mum, to a sleepover, or going to Boy Scouts with his mum. He doesn't want that.
All right, these are all right.
Okay.
Neil chose to use direct payments when he wanted to move into his own home and when he wanted to stop having to rely on his family for personal assistance support.
Most of my support came from family members at the time. I got to a stage in my life where it was important for me to move out of the family home into, if I could, accommodation of my own, but particularly into a situation that enabled me to actually have the people that I wanted to work for me to provide the assistance that I needed in terms of my everyday living.
Pauline has mental health support needs and now employs support workers with direct payments funding.
The essential difference to having a support worker over having a friend is that for a long time my friends became my carers, and I didn't have equal friendships with my friends Because if I had a bad day, I couldn't just go and say to any of my friends, oh God, you know, have a rant and a rave and then it would be okay. They would automatically, oh gosh, she's getting ill again, we need to take action, we need to, you know, and they would worry too much. I couldn't have road rage, I couldn't be justifiably angry over anything because my friends were just too involved, really. And also I wasn't being a friend to them, they were being a friend to me, but I wasn't able to reciprocate. That changed the whole dynamic, really, and made me feel very disempowered. Whereas now I've got support workers who take care of all of that side of things. My friends are my friends, and it's made it a much more equal relationship.
Originally I went to a day centre for disabled people, but it didn't work out. So rather than going to the day centre, I decided to use my money to employ somebody to give me one-to-one support in the community. I like the one-to-one support. I think it's much more individualised, and I can basically say what I want to do, and the two workers that I've had have been very responsive and agreeing to what I want to do. I've got on. I think I get more choice and more variety in my activities, whereas the day centre just came to the same every week. I just prefer it far more.
Dec Bal works with South Asian families in Bristol and South Gloucestershire and supports them to find out about services like direct payments.
Direct payment is good in the sense that it offers more flexibility, as well as services now will not be service-led, it will be user-led. So particularly for South Asian people where they have not been able to access services due to not having the right kind of staff, South Asian people now able to go out and buy the services to meet their needs, and they can also, in terms of employ extended families, people from your religious background, from your cultural background, to help them.
I think one of the crucially important things is that I can tailor the support to my own needs. Whereas if I was using services, I would have a community support worker coming to visit me at a set time or day each week or however frequently. Whereas actually by looking through my diary, looking at the times when I think I will need somebody to support me, we can have a much more flexible approach. Now that might mean that some weeks I don't see a support worker very much at all, maybe for a couple of hours, and that's it. Now those hours, if you like, will be banked so that when I am experiencing a crisis, when I do need support workers more intensively, we've got those hours in hand.